What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Stoic Soldier. This is Cam. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hope everyone's had a fantastic week. And it's nice and cold out here, so I've been kind of bundled up most of the day, but still took it upon myself to go for a little run in the rain. I was feeling ambitious today. So, anyway, without further ado, here's a video of today. So, as we had always talked about in the past, the number one key to a more free life and way of thinking, especially, is about relinquishing all power over and all control over what you have no control over, which is pretty much everything outside of yourself. And even more importantly, anything that does not have to do with the here and now. So, as the saying goes, one that I've really come to like: yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why it's called the present, as we already know. And that's something that we've all struggled with, of course, as well as I have, not seeing the current moment in front of us and completely being blind to it, either by worrying about tomorrow or by grieving over yesterday. And one way that something like that really affects us is in relationships, whether we're talking personal, friends, family, business, or even in the romantic sense, especially actually. And by us holding on to the past, by us constantly mourning and grieving and beating ourselves down over mistakes that we had made back then, is preventing us from seeing what's in front, seeing what's ahead of us. As T.D. Jakes had talked about it, in several of his testimonies and speeches, he asked, how long are you going to keep mourning yesterday? How long are you going to keep missing opportunities that are in front of you? How long are you going to keep allowing them to hold you back? Something along those lines. And that's 110% on point, because the more that you're looking back and looking back and looking back, the less likely you're going to be to actually find happiness. And more importantly, the less likely you are to actually successfully fulfill that mission of learning from those lessons, which we all do. Again, we're human beings. We all have our trials and tribulations. We all have things about us. We all have our inadequacies. We all have our flaws. And day by day, even though we're never going to be perfect, we can always aspire to be and bettering ourselves every day. But by going back and grieving and grieving and grieving, you've got hundreds more in front of you, and then thousands more, and then millions more. And the story just goes on, and then you keep missing and missing and missing those opportunities over and over again, because you're so hung up on that one little screw up or mistake that you did a week ago. And that's not serving you, you know? And again, this coming from me, I was a massive overthinker. I was always torturing myself, always allowing myself to fall into that abyss, that state of spiritual, emotional, and psychological anguish, which is long-term unhealthy. It's good to sit, reflect, and assess and evaluate who you are and what you've been. But when you don't allow yourself room to grow, more importantly, you don't forgive yourself for the mistakes. Allow yourself to make those mistakes so that you can learn, because we're all in the beginning stages. Even when we're in our 40s or in our 50s, I'm 28 right now, but even when we're in our twilight years, or we're past our twilight years, we're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to make mistakes for things that we never even thought possible, and that's okay. But the fact of the matter is, be present in that moment so you can be fully aware, so you can learn what you've done wrong, instead of going in the corner curled up in the fetal position, because that's just not going to help anybody. For example, me, I used to work in kitchens. I used to work as a chef. I used to work as a line cook. If I screwed up on one order and I sat there dwelling on it, if I sat there grieving on it, guess what would happen? 10 more orders would come up on screen. Not only would I end up screwing those ones up as well, instead of just taking that moment to learn from that one mistake, from that one dish that I didn't get correctly. And then next thing you know, I can actually lower my chances of duplicating that mistake. Whereas if I sit there grieving about it and beating myself down for it, I'm going to end up making 10 more mistakes. It's going to duplicate itself. It's going to get worse and worse. The pressure is going to start to amount. It's going to start to build up. I'm going to start to get overwhelmed. And the next thing you know, That's when the immediate crash out, the immediate burnout happens. That's when your mind goes on overload to the point where you say to yourself, I'm not capable of doing this. You allow those things to pile on by doing so. So instead of beating yourself down for whatever mistake you made, be in that present moment. Look right then and there and say, okay, so I'm doing this maybe for the first time, or one way or another, even if it's not the first time, I'm still new to this. I can still make mistakes. So simple and plain, what did I miss? That's a question you can ask yourself. Not how did you screw up? Why are you stupid? The worst thing you can do when teaching somebody else or teaching yourself especially is being condescending. When you put yourself down. When you start making yourself believe that you're inadequate to the point where you're not able to progress. That takes away your power of visualization. That takes away your ability to believe that whatever you're looking for or whatever you're aspiring to be or to do, that it's not attainable. So keep that in mind while learning. Believe that you are in fact capable. You are an able-bodied individual. You are an able-mind individual. And you can make these things happen, but you adjust, you adapt, you fine-tune as you go along. So next time, instead of using that negative language with yourself, just stop. Total neutrality, no emotions. Give yourselves no labels, no connotations again. And just in that moment, say, okay, what did I miss here? What's missing? Think of it as a game. Think of it almost as a little puzzle. Think of it as a riddle. Ask yourself, okay, I got a few things down. I didn't just completely black out. I wasn't blind when this was being taught to me or when I was learning this for the first time. So I remember a few things here and there. What did I miss? Because even those things that we miss, even if we miss majority of the lesson, there's always going to be one or two things that you pick up, one or two key points, as it always should be, no matter how complex, no matter how tedious it may be, you'll still be able to pick up one or two things. And those one or two things are going to be your blueprint. That's going to be your bread and butter. That's what's going to lead you to ultimately assembling the entire thing. Again, going back to the puzzle analogy, say that you're assembling a forest picture. There's 100 pieces, but you look at the cover, you see exactly where two identical trees are standing, and these are the two most unique ones in the entire piece. If you can find those and have them in the center, you're going to start finding one piece that matches the one right next to it, and then another one, and then another one. They all start coming together, they all start connecting. Next thing you know, you have the entire picture. So take it one at a time. Take whatever knowledge you have and build off of it. Again, no experience is ever wasted. You've always learned something, even though that you might have to pick some things out. It doesn't mean that you can't use it to further yourself and progress in your journey. So keep that in mind. Use what you've learned, but in that moment, still ask yourself, okay, I know this, or this has worked so far. And again, over time, you're probably going to have to change it. But for that time being, say, okay, for now I have this. This is my base. This seems to be working. What do I add to it? What do I not have for the time being? And then again, you build off of it. You build off of it. So I want you guys to try that, even if it's something as simple as understanding a task at work, or I don't know, solving a puzzle, or even if it's learning a new skill for the first time. You know, even if, say that you're in school, for example, or you're studying to be a doctor, you're studying to be a neurologist, you're studying to be a lawyer, you're studying to be anything. Whatever chapter that you're reading, if you find the entirety of it so overwhelming to the point where it's just leaving you scatterbrained, go back to the first section, highlight one or two things. Find those key points right there. Find those key points, and then everything else is going to start to connect. Just like, for example, when you're studying to be a chiropractor, you're understanding the human body, you're understanding the musculoskeletal system. So you don't know the names of all the ligaments. You don't know the names of every single joint, of every single bone. What's one thing you do know? You know the spine is supposed to be in a straight line. You know that your pelvis is supposed to be generally tilted forward. You know that you want your shoulders to relax. It helps with breathing. It helps with circulation. It helps with putting less stress on your joints. It makes movement more natural for you. When you have that basis, again, every other little thing is going to start to come together. When you have that fundamental, when you have that foundation stabilized, everything is ultimately going to circle back to that. And you're going to find things to be a lot easier doing so. Cool. So go ahead and try that, guys. Let me know how it works for you. And thank you guys so much again for watching. It's been great having you guys here today. And if there are any specific requests for videos in the future, anything that I can be of help with, anything that you guys can recommend that I can advise you any further on, I'd be more than happy to hear you guys out. And again, much more content to come in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you guys soon.